Hi everyone. Today's video has 3 points and you're going to want to stick around because the third point is a secret as to the best way to make sure your books don't drop in sales. So the topic we're talking about today is, will book sales dry up by the end of the year? What major publishing houses don't want you to know? So by the end of this video, you're going to know what is the most important thing when it comes to sustained sales. That is not just these huge bumps and spikes. You're going to have the steps necessary to avoid falling into some of these little grooves on either side. And you're going to feel great knowing that you're not wasting time writing and putting books onto the market that are never going to sell or are just going to sell a little bit. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com, where self-publishing doesn't have to be so hard. The thing is, after having sold around 40,000 books, I began to understand some of the keys to what it is that gets books selling. And some of my books have completely flopped and did not contribute that much to this. And that's one of the reasons why I offer for free discovery sessions, which you can check out below in the description, if you would like to figure out better if your books are set to sell or not sell. So the thing is, Sarah was one of the early members of my group coaching group. And the thing was, with her books, she was writing in a particular genre, and the genre that she chose, it was political books dealing with specifically the different candidates running in the exact election. But there was a huge problem with this, which is what happens after the election is complete? How many people are going to continue buying that book? And that was a huge mistake on her part. So the thing is that she wasn't paying attention to these key 3 issues. The first thing is that some niches will never sell any books ever. That is to say, your niche can possibly be, and that's one of the things we discuss in the discovery sessions, we take a closer look at that. It can be in one of these categories for which there are no sales happening on Amazon for that particular niche. Now, you could be the first person to put it out there, but I'll tell you, I have seen this so many times where you have an author who's just got an idea, like you may have a background in something, and you're thinking, if I just put it onto the market, I'm sure they will buy it. Kind of like that old film, remember? If you build it, they will come. But in this case, if you write it, they will not necessarily come. And what are you going to do when they don't come? When the book completely flops, sometimes I've seen authors who decide, maybe if I just change the cover, that will make the difference. But you're writing in a niche where there are no sales being made. It's a completely new market. They don't know. There's just not a bunch of readers there. And often this can be a sign that maybe you're lucky and you hit the jackpot on this market. But I can tell you one thing, if you do manage to get lucky on your very first book, other marketers are going to be watching what happens, and then they will completely flood your market and outcompete you at your own game. But how many books do you have to come out with in non-existent markets before you realize this is not a way to win the game? So that's the first key point and very important point. The second thing is, some niches, like I was saying with Sarah, come out in fads or things for which the trends spike up. The classic example is we go to Google Trends and we type in fidget spinner. In 2017, it goes to 100 and then back to 0. So it's at 0 and then 2017 it spikes and then it completely disappears. If you had put a book on the market in 2017, you may have in fact seen some sales off of that fidget spinner book of yours. But the second we cross over into 2018, there is nobody doing any searches on fidget spinners. They're completely irrelevant. Nobody cares. So what's the point? The point is that this is a terrible idea, choosing a fad of something that is simply a popular one day or popular right now, but is it popular next week or the week after that? This could be like video games or things like that where maybe it's really popular at this moment, but everybody's going to forget about it next week. Could be a social network that's really popular and you're writing about that. Or it could be a type of fiction that suddenly somebody came up with. I even remember, just in fads in general, I remember when I was in high school, there was a fad with some certain types of pants that were like these weird striped plaid pants. And there was one guy, I remember in high school, where he went out and bought like 10 of these pairs of pants. Now these pants were really, really popular for about a month or two. But after that, it completely died. And there he's stuck with 10 pairs of pants. And the thing is, I want you to avoid finding yourself in that situation with 10 pairs of pants or books that you've written. In fact, I even saw it just last month, one of the comments in here on YouTube. It was in fact somebody who had written something like 20, 30 books in a genre that simply will never sell. So they'd used an awful lot of time. They definitely had expertise. Their covers were even pretty good. Their descriptions were fine. Author's bio was fine. All of the things were optimized, but there was no market. All the books were ranked like in the million or 900,000 ranking. We're looking for the top 100,000, not 900,000 or 100 million. We're looking in the top 100,000 books on all of Amazon. Those are the magic zones we're trying to get our books into. And how would you even know if there's no book selling? But that brings us to our secret point. This is the thing that publishing houses don't want you to know either, and it is the fact that they do not put books on every topic out on the market. Just because you may know something about something, they're not putting it on the market if they don't see there's a market. This is true with like Walmart or any other store. They're not going to sell something unless they already know it's going to sell. They're not just going to take a chance on a product if it's going to cost them a lot. And so they're not going to do it. And this is something you can see. If you look at the major publishing houses, how many books on random subjects are they coming out with? It looks a lot like they're investing their money in books that are similar to books that are already selling, or to authors, people who are influencers. And even then, sometimes, this is amazing, influencers will put books on the market and suddenly see them completely flop because they are putting them into the market that simply doesn't exist. Even though they're an influencer, they try to call their audience and influence them to purchase the book, but the audience is not interested because that type of book is simply something people aren't used to buying in book format. Maybe in a magazine, maybe they like to talk about it, maybe some other format, but not in book format. And this is true with many niches. Don't think for a second that if you write a book on any subject, you're going to be able to get it to sell, because you won't. And many people have tried to do this, and often this is the number one reason. My clients who have books that aren't selling, this is the number one reason. But the secret is you can combine the publish. If you're using Katie Spy in particular, we can take a close look, and you'll find my affiliate link below in the description. We can take the books that are already ranking in particular categories, and we can see we're looking for those books in the top 100,000. And then we look at the publish date for those specific books in your niche. And we want to see if those books were published not yesterday or last month, or even this year per se. We want to see were they published last year or in the last 5 or 10 years. Some of these books just keep on pounding out sales. That is a fantastic sign. So if whatever niche you're considering going into, if you can find other books that were published years ago that are ranked in the top 100,000, now we're on to something. There is an existing market. And that tells us that if you put a book into it, and you write it in a specific way, it can be evergreen and continue bringing in sales years to come. And I can tell you, I look at some of my books, they're on fads, and some of them just died out. A particular diet book or this or that dies out. And other books, the evergreen books that are focusing on human problems or fantastic stories that people are going to want to read far out into the future, these books continue to make sales. I sleep, I wake up in the morning, and I look at a few more sales that are coming through. Audiobooks, paperbacks, hardbacks, ebooks, just keeps on pounding on through, delivering the sales because there's an audience for those books, and these books are not fads, and they're an evergreen book. And this is something you can learn from the major publishers. They clearly wouldn't want you to do this because then you would be putting books that would directly compete with them. And I can tell you a lot of things they don't optimize when it comes to the books that they put out, whether they're titles or their covers. Sometimes they're terrible, and you can outcompete even major publishing houses. And that's one of the reasons they definitely do not want you as a self-publisher, as an author, to figure this out. And it's not difficult. That's one of the reasons with the free discovery session, we just sit down and take a look at your niche, and we're able to use Katie Spy. You don't even have to buy Katie Spy. We can use my Katie Spy and take a closer look at exactly what is going on with your specific book. So that is one of the most important things to keep in mind. But one of the other things is when you're getting started with Self-Publishing 101, it's like knowing exactly what are the basic steps. And that's the reason why I created this video right here, Self-Publishing 101, everything you need to know. And I'll see you over there.